good music, just so you know.
Did you pick it?
Hey, Nikki.
Hey, Josie.
How's it going?
You know, it's phenomenal today.
I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
Like a year?
It's
I saw you at the show.
Yeah.
At the wedding fair.
Great place to be.
It was a great place to be. It was so fun.
A lot of energy in the room.
Yeah. I feel like I was by Famous Dave's. So I was by a good vendor.
You should come back.
I will. Okay. Well, I'm only saying I will because we're live and I feel pressured. No, I will. So, Nikki, I already told everyone about you, but...
You did?
Yeah. Secretly.
Good things?
Well, yeah. We're like great things because you're amazing and because you deal with so many wedding vendors. I feel like everyone that is getting married should know Nikki and should have your advice.
Oh, God, don't give them my cell phone number.
Okay. Just text
Keep a few
only.
things private.
Facebook.
Yeah. Yes.
They can reach you on Facebook.
They can go to our platforms. That's what they're there for. So.
Yeah. And you always share those blogs, so that's good.
I do, because you're a good writer.
Yay! The last one.
You get into it. You get into what makes them different and everything.
The last one, Christina Designs, her favorite wedding of 2017, which is like a really pretty wedding and maybe my favorite wedding. No, I wasn't there, so I can't say it was my favorite, but
I was really impressed how Rush Creek did the emblem on, was it creme brulee or like a cupcake or something?
Yeah,
like it was just elegant.
It's a really good detail.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what weddings are about, right? They're like all the little details.
Yep.
That's what.
And I'm really into like branding and memorable. Like that's my kind of thing with the businesses. But no, her paper goods were beautiful. The colors, the pink ombre. Yeah, it was gorgeous. So she's very talented.
Yeah, and guess what? Kirsten Solberg actually shot that for Bella Gala.
Really? Yeah. Wow.
I know. So win, win, win. That's a great photographer. I saw her yesterday.
You did?
And I was like, I love your pictures. Yeah, we'll put her on the blog more too. Okay, so Nikki, you are in charge of wedding vendors.
And I'm not in charge, but yeah, I chat with them from time
you're
to
the
time.
boss. You're the boss of my marketing life. So from maybe a bride's perspective, and maybe you can reflect on what the experience was for you, finding vendors can sometimes seem really scary.
Yeah.
I just got married. Like, how am I going to find all these vendors that I need for my wedding, let alone a wedding venue?
Yeah. You know, it does. It's let me step back for a minute. It's called evolution, right? So back in the day, you used to just get married at a hotel or a golf course, and you had wedding cake. And the you didn't have caterers. It was the people who had the facility had the food. And as evolution goes on, there's more and more things that get developed. And so you have more options, you have more choices. So now we're into unique spaces, not only barns, but warehouses. And it's
or art galleries.
It's like the more unique space, the better. But with that comes a lot of details. So now we don't have always cake for dessert, or you supplement it. You have donuts, or you have cookie dough. It's kind of cool.
Yes, cookie dough, dough. That's my friend's truck. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good thing because there's a lot of choices and you can really hone in and customize what you want. But then it gets very overwhelming. That's the pro and con of it. So then it's like, how do you cut through that and figure out what tailors to you? So starting, it is hard. First thing I do is tell everybody, go get a manicure and tell everybody that you're married.
Yeah, that's why I said celebrate.
Yep,
celebrate that you're engaged.
Because you have this moment that you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then you're like, oh shit, this is so expensive.
I have so many things I have to do. Like, who am I going to ask me in my wedding party? What am I going to wear? Like, do I just have one dress or two?
Yeah. You almost need to like go and get deep breathing exercises before you like get this. I mean, it's not
some Sam Harris meditation.
It's not supposed to be overwhelming, but like there's so many options. You almost get sick of making decisions.
Yeah, especially towards the end when your aunt for the 8th time is like, and now which hotel you staying at, honey? And you're like,
yeah, I freaking told you 17 times, but. Yeah, so you got to practice the face where you smile and say it again and say, oh, thank you. I'll think about that because everyone gives you advice.
Yes.
But back to your question to start, find a checklist. like, tell everybody, and then find a checklist of everything you need. So we have one in our book, which is Perfect Wedding Guide. There's ones on websites. We have one on our website. They're everywhere. So
you can just Google it or go on
Josie,
Pinterest.
I'm sure, has a wedding checklist.
I don't have a checklist.
You don't?
I did have one, like a timeline, but I like yours.
No, you got to make it stupid
I like your
simple.
timeline better, but also Aisle Planner has like a great, like really intensive checklist.
Yeah.
That now I just use that for all my clients.
Well, I mean, you can layer this and get it more integrated, but the goal is not to get overwhelmed, right?
Right.
So then if you slam them with like arrows and timelines and you're going to freak out. So what I mean by a checklist is, okay, there's maybe 42 things, believe it or not, that you probably need for your big day. So, get that. Which is, some examples are, the venue, the food, flowers, dress, your ceremony, your honeymoon, the big ticket things. And then pick or circle collaboratively together, like your top 3, maybe top 4.
What's most important?
Yeah,
what do we have to have? Otherwise, I can't get married.
Or what do you value the most? And that is different for absolutely everybody. So if you love flowers, you're going to spend probably more money, or that's more of a focus of yours because you love flowers. If you're a foodie, maybe you love food. If you are just dreaming of a dress, you're going to spend way more money on a dress versus someone who's like, I don't really care what I wear. Yeah, I just want to look nice.
I can wear my grandma's dress.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing. That's coming back now. You have no idea. There's people that are now tailoring and recreating vintage dresses. And I wore my mom's dress.
Yeah, Genmar does that all the time. They take the dress and then they deconstruct it.
Those
and
ladies are brilliant, too.
They're brilliant.
Yeah.
I just had a wedding where they did a bustle, and it was the best bustle I've ever seen. I took a video of me bustling it because I was like, this is heaven. Yeah. Heaven sent. And it stayed the whole night.
I can't even hem. So I really appreciate people in the creative arts that can do sewing. But no, that's the beauty of evolution is like, okay, you have this, thought of what it should be, but then it has morphed so much throughout, time. And, it can go any way. There's really no right, wrong, or otherwise to do a wedding. It used to be more traditional with the church thing. Now we're in fields. We're jumping out of planes, skydiving.
Did you see that one? It's like 400 feet above a canyon. Yeah. Like on a thing.
Yeah, that's what tickles their fancy. It's going to definitely be memorable. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the cool thing about weddings now is it's a celebration of two people coming together for the purpose of love, right?
And it's what you want it to be.
And what you experience, if I can say it's an experience, is the guests are going to walk through this experience and they're going to taste the brides and grooms their food preferences, maybe their dessert, their colors, you're inviting them into a little bit of their love. Right. So that's the cool part of how this is evolving.
Right. Yeah. It's not just about, you're having a wedding, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. Yep. You have to register for China. I don't know. Do people still register for China?
They do if they think they're going to host. It's like when you go to Bed Bath & Beyond, Macy's, Williams-Sonoma, Pottery Barn, any of those people. It's like, oh my God, do I need 12 settings in China? Yeah. I had to have everything dishwasher safe. I'm not going to, think about the theory of entertaining 12 to 15 people,
and then
like 4 different, and then spending 7 hours in the kitchen hand washing. And
where do they dry?
Yeah, the assembly line, ridiculous. Nope, not happening. Yes. So, my pans are even dishwasher safe.
Yeah, why not?
I'm a convenience person.
That's how you are.
I want to spend my time
That's what you wanted for your
and,
wedding.
Yeah. So, yes, but registries are like, what's the person I want to be? Do I want to roast someday? Do I want to churn my own ice cream?
What about fondue?
Yeah, you realize you don't do any of that stuff, especially if you expand your family. But yeah.
You're not going to do fondue with a 1-year-old?
No, not at all. It's not going to happen. It's a safety concern. Yeah, it really is. And it takes too much time to sit there and sizzle some chicken and some oil to get it. But
yeah. But maybe for some people that is their thing. They grew up in a big family where they're also always hosting big family dinners, and that's what they want to do. They envision their life being part of that. I'm going to make mini muffins for brunch.
Absolutely. So, and everyone's different, right? There is no robotic genetic makeup. Everyone likes a different color. Everyone likes a different type of food. So weddings are very much a reflection of two people and the people they want to be and the people they have been. So there isn't really one way to do it. And there's advice and guidance and wedding planners to like help you find your vision, your plan and everything. But you really can't necessarily go wrong. You just have to show up with two people and express your love and make it legal.
I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
and make it legal. I mean, actually, making it legal is not really the most romantic part about it in taxes, but you know.
That's the most legit part of a wedding.
Yeah.
A wedding is where people get married.
Yep.
So say I do make it legal. Make it legal in 3 to 5 days.
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
Send in the paper.
So.
Yeah. No, I think that's so true. And the thing that I really like that you said is that, you know, celebrate, first of all, celebrate that you're engaged. And then take it in bite-sized pieces. So I do have a little mini course, like Ready, Set, Wed. Where do we get started? So first determine your wedding wants. Like you said, making a list of all the things that you'll need or that you think you need. And then circling the things that are most important. Like, I really want this, but my fiance really wants that. Okay, so now is our list 6 things, or do those things overlap and it's 5, or it's just 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just have a great band, great food, and a small ceremony.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Because you're like, oh, you got to determine a budget. You know how challenging that is when you have absolutely no idea what anything costs? Like, okay, I'm going to spend $200 on food, and this is exaggeration.
Right.
And
because you sure aren't.
Because then you go and do like all this stuff, and you get blown out of the water and have like
with a $20,000 quote, and you're like, what?
Anxiety, like you know what I mean? Because you've never done this before. This is the first time you're doing it. So like, our vendors all over the Twin Cities have to do a really good job of guiding a little bit, and a lot of patience, but guiding because they've never done this before, and hopefully they'll never do it again.
Right.
Hopefully.
One and done.
Yeah, but you know, the reality is it does happen a couple times, you know, so, depending on the person, but you know, so they don't know what expectations are. They don't know what to look for. They don't know the answers. So the best you can do is make it stupid simple.
Right.
And then obviously keep educating, keep guiding, keep whatever. But yeah, I mean, there really is no wrong way to do it. But like, you know, go out and do some research or get a wedding planner to do that for you. You know, talk about money, obviously, like, oh, is our parents going to contribute at all? This day and age, not a lot of them do. I mean, some of them do. Everyone's so different.
It's so different. So it's not an assumption anymore.
Yeah.
Right. That your parents put away a nest egg because you're a female child.
No. Back in the traditional days of the kings. It's like, you know, the females' parents paid for everything. Well, that didn't happen in my wedding. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I came from the catering world, so you'd be amazed at who is paying for the food.
Right.
The parents are making the decision sometimes of what that meal is going to be, not the brides and grooms. So it's just
because it's like groom's parents are paying for food.
Yeah, for like the rehearsal dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we're kind of going everywhere about it, but there's no wrong way to do it. And the best way to break it down is to celebrate. Take a deep breath and then do some research and get a checklist and then look at all the different items and figure out like what are my favorites? Like what do I want to do? It's like designing a house. It's like, oh, you can't start in every room, but like, okay.
What do you want the feel to be of your house? Welcoming or rustic or modern or I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my house.
And you know, that's a really great analogy, I say, because it's almost like you're inviting all the guests of your wedding, regardless if that's 20, if that's 200 or 300. You're inviting them into your home, quote unquote, for a day.
Right. And
you're entertaining them. You're being hospitable. You're offering them a drink. You're offering them an appetizer. You're offering them a little bit of entertainment. And then you're going to offer them to dance. And that's really important to recognize because sometimes the space where the brides and grooms leave and go bar hopping is kind of like you need to have something for your guests to do during that time because they're sitting there. Think about this. Would you invite a couple hundred people in your home for one day and then go lock yourself in the bedroom and just leave them there?
Well, dinner's not ready. So.
And then you're like, what? Awkward. What do we do? Like, when are they coming back?
Like, I don't know you. Like, you don't know me.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't even know each other. So
where do we stand? What do we do?
Like, your role as a bride and groom is to think of being hospitable. Yes, the day is about you guys. Right. Absolutely. Right. But, you know, when you get a whole bunch of different people from different walks of life in the room, like, you got to kind of figure out, okay, what's going to, you know, make this enjoyable? Because if they're all crabby, that's not something great. And they're all there to celebrate you. You're the common denominator.
And absolutely, you'll look back on your wedding with better favor if your guests had a great time and your guests are constantly like, oh my gosh, your wedding. Like still, my best friend Ellie and I talk just last week about this. She was like, your wedding was so fun. We did this and we did that. And it makes me feel really great about my wedding, even though now as a wedding planner, I'm like, well, we could have done this better and we could have done this better. And my wedding was eggplant and burlap and sparkles. So that's fairly dated.
Your guests must be important to you, because otherwise why would you have them there? You could go elope or go to a courthouse or whatever and have it just be about you two. But you're inviting them there to share in that, and you know, your family's friends and everything. So they must be important to you. So have some consideration on a little bit of
the experience.
Yeah, of the experience. Not just they're going to sit in a chair and watch me and I don't care what happens to them.
And really minimal things, like maybe don't have 2 hours between ceremony and dinner serving, because that's 2 hours people are going without eating, plus your ceremony time, plus however long it took them to get there. And they probably didn't like eat a banana on the way to the ceremony. So everyone's blood sugars are low.
And you know, there's still people that have to get married in a church at 3 and then they can't get into the venue till 5. But at least it's a transportation situation where you could go home if you live close, or you can do something. But there's oftentimes that everything's in one place, and then the wedding party might disappear for a long time.
Pictures
and it's just,
or whatnot.
You just have to be conscientious of what are all these people going to do during that period of time.
Yeah, and having great music, like you said, is a good kind of stuffer, or serving really great appetizers that people are like, oh, look at this, amuse-bouche, what is this?
Yeah,
or,
it's like the 5 senses, sight, sound, hear, touch, smell, feel, you know what I mean?
Guest book, you know, that they can sign, or even a photo booth, which I don't know, people hit or miss, are people still doing that? But I think for sure they're doing some kind of picture interaction.
Yeah, it's
like
going a
Polaroid
little bit
camera.
Digital now too. Like you can take digital photos and it will
selfie station.
Yeah, it will snap up into like a digital reel and feed.
Yeah,
and so like a Snapchat or like an Instagram, and they all take it, and then the couple can actually like review all the digital things versus hard copy things. So
but have something. That's the point. Yeah. What did you do in between your ceremony and your reception?
I was there. So, again, I'm a big convenience person. So, I got married at Hope Glen Farm.
Yeah.
Love
the layout.
Right when it was their infancy, actually. So, they didn't have the pavilion. Or no, when I booked it, they didn't have the pavilion. By the time I got there, they did. But we got married under a tree, and then I did all my pictures prior, and then I was there. So, immediately there was,
a receiving line?
Yep. Yeah. So we had to walk from point A to point B, and they had to pass by us. Yeah. Yeah. So we did it there, and then I mingled with them, and had an appetizer, had cocktails and whatever went on, and then we immediately went into dinner, and then after dinner, we had a DJ. We actually had a band, and then we had a DJ fill in between that, and then I had a lot of yard games. It was outside. Yeah. In August. Yeah. So like bags and that
and
kind
weather.
of stuff. Yeah. It was, I got lucky.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. August is usually good weather in Minnesota.
It is. There's a website you can go on and see the weather for like the past 10 years on that specific
Everyone
day.
should.
It says it's like a risk value, because in Minnesota, I mean, you never know if it's going to rain or whatever.
June's like monsoon season.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, like this year. I didn't have a wedding on that. It was like a Friday, and it poured buckets. And I just stared out the window, being sad for everyone who had weddings.
They say it's good luck, but it's kind of like, are you just telling me that?
I think it is. It rained on my wedding. It was like misting.
Just, the things I've learned in life is you cannot control what happens to you, just how you react to it. Yeah. That's like one of my golden rules. Yeah. Nothing's ever easy, even the easy stuff. And, oh God, there's one more that I think I
always say you get what you give, so give good.
That's a good one. So, like, if anything happens on your wedding, just like, well, that can't change that. Like, the wind came up and knocked over, like, this glass thing. And I was like, well, okay, we'll just not have that on that table. Like, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to let it ruin my day. Right. Because you are in control of you. You just can't get caught up in that kind of stuff.
And then probably also, I feel like surrounding yourself with family and friends that know that that's what's important to you, just the part of getting married and being in love, and not like these little details like someone's missing a napkin. Like you don't care about that. Yeah. And vendors that can kind of keep it to themselves when little things go awry. Yep. Like, oh, it's raining and now there's a puddle where you were going to stand. Oh, well, we're not going to stand there. Here's some wood to put on top of a puddle. I don't know. It was a weird example. But, having vendors that are really good at what they do so they can think on their feet and then they're prepared.
Yeah, I think that just comes with practice. Like, a lot of them that we work with, we make sure that this isn't your first wedding. Like, we're putting you in front of an audience of
Right.
newly engaged people. Like, don't have these be your trials.
Right. Yeah.
And so, you have to be able to, when you participate with us, to handle anywhere from like 10 to 30 weddings, because you don't want to make mistakes. And that's, I hate to say this, but that's kind of what your friends' weddings are for.
Like, I was going to say that too.
I know that sounds silly, and everyone wants to save a dollar here and there.
Right.
So the photographers get a lot of great starts that way. They're like, oh, I did my friend's wedding, and then, birds of a feather flock together. So they do all their friends' weddings.
Right.
And then the reality of it is, their friend group grows up, so then they have to market, which is what I kind of do right now. I put them in front of a new audience, because if you're out of sight, you're out of mind.
Right.
And they've went through all their friend groups, they've done all their practice, they know what their lighting is. I'm using photography as an example, and then they can actually feel super confident about themselves to just go out into the general public, and this is my brand, this is what I do.
Right.
But there's a learning curve with absolutely any
everything.
business.
Yes.
Yeah. So even with makeup, you can totally make them look, like even the simplest thing.
Totally preaching the choir, like, oh, you have such nice skin color. What kind of foundation should I use? It's like,
yeah,
okay,
do makeup, do a test one. Same thing with your hair. You'll feel so much better if you go to whoever's going to do it and do a test run on it.
I always suggest doing it before your engagement pictures, because you can reschedule your engagement pictures. They're not date dependent. You can't reschedule your wedding, right? For most people, there's deposits and stuff like that involved, and invitations, like all the people that are expecting you to get married on that date. But your engagement pictures, it's just the two of you and a photographer.
Yeah,
so you can do your hair and
might
makeup
be
trial.
Kind of pissy, but yeah. And that's something that's really cool too. I always say, try to do your engagement pictures in a different season, hopefully, than you're getting married.
Then you have a wider range of pictures.
Yeah, and you have different backgrounds, and you can.
I love that.
Different things. I mean, some people even go to the North Shore, have a photographer from the North Shore, and then they get married here in the cities. So they have the two different kind of feels to it.
And it's more of who you are as a couple. If you could include where you whoever proposed.
Mm-hmm.
The location that you were at, or your favorite brewery, or your favorite hiking trail. That's really special.
You're really
too.
just sharing a story. Like, if I can simplify it, anymore, it's like, okay, this is the story of us.
This is what we like doing. This is what we like eating. This is what we like listening to.
So it's kind of neat. It's two individuals becoming like a we. Yeah. It's he and me became a we.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I love it. Okay, so let's ask some questions, Nikki.
Sure.
All of these Haley prepared, so I'm super excited to ask them, because I don't know what you're going to say. How much do you think people should spend on weddings?
Tough questions. As much as you feel is necessary, that you don't want to put yourself in debt, right? Because you're going to be married to each other, so you shouldn't bicker about it later.
Especially with people coming out of college with student loans.
Yeah. So that's different for everyone, and that might hinder or amplify the type of event that you might put on. But come back to the foundational core of it. It's about you guys.
Why are you getting married?
Yeah.
To spend money?
To be famous for like a day? Yeah. So, the average wedding, if you want to go statistical, is around $30,000.
Yeah.
Quite astonishing number for a 27. The average age of a bride is 27.
Right.
Some people are 21. Who knows when they find love.
Right.
But, that's the statistics.
It's a chunk of change.
Yeah. And it goes a little above, a little under. I mean, it depends who your survey who
the demographic area
who you're doing
and all
it,
that
but
stuff,
it's $20,000 to $30,000.
Yeah,
and I believe that includes the honeymoon as well. So that's the average. Can people do it for $5,000 or $200,000? Maybe the marriage license alone, I think, is like around $175.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's $115.
Yeah. So, and if you do your premarital classes, you get a discount.
But premarital classes cost money. I didn't know that. I thought they would just the church would be like, here you go.
Some people include it. We have a Bill Albertson. He's a reverend that he has a package where if you do this. Some premarital prep, which is only 1 or 2 or 3 classes. I don't know the whole thing because I didn't go through it with him. And then he'll give you a discount off of that. So there's again, within a bubble, there's a ton of options that you can do.
Right.
But I think that's the least expensive you can put a wedding for is just the piece of paper. And
right. Yeah. And then if you think about it, however many guests you're having, if you're feeding those guests, it's not going to be $10 a person to feed them.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's a good way of determining, like, what's our wedding budget going to be around.
Yeah. So one of the things you kind of indirectly asked me prior is like, okay, well, what should you spend the most money on? And it's like, okay, well, what are your top 3? But coming from, again, maybe I'm a little biased, the catering world, like feeding people hands down is probably the most expensive piece of this event.
Right.
You can't.
It's your reception. That's where you spend all your money.
I mean, you have to feed people, and you can't even go to McDonald's and get a 2-person meal with a Big Mac, fries, and a drink for like $5. So you got to think, oh, my catering's not even going to be $5.
Right. And what about if you have alcohol at your wedding?
Yeah, I mean,
and dessert.
Yeah,
and
so
appetizers.
So you kind of gotta think the food. You can go inexpensive with the food, you can, but the food piece of this event is probably going to be the most expensive, and all the factors around it, because people have late night snacks and everything. So whether you're a foodie or you don't really value that high, it is probably the most piece that's going to eat up your budget.
It definitely depends too. If you want a wedding where people see you get married, eat dinner, and leave, then that's okay to skimp on the fanciness of your meal and the quality of your DJ. But if you want one where people are going to stay, they want to have fun then. And the way that people have fun is they feel satiated and they they're having a good time. So some of that comes into play if you have kind of a DJ that's just playing the songs that they want to play, or that only you and your group of friends like, but no one else really does.
Right.
They're probably going to leave early. And that's
right.
a really big bummer when you're paying money to rent a venue until 10, 11, midnight.
Well, a few things that I personally have taken away from just doing events when I was on the wedding business side is regarding food. Either love it or you hate it. You remember the food. Like, they might not ever share with you that chicken sucked and it was really dry and you paid $25 to $30 for it, but it did.
Yeah.
So either people rave about the food or they hate the food.
Yeah.
And if you are getting married, you probably went to some friends' weddings, because again, birds of a feather flock together. So think about that. Like, oh my goodness, like, do I want people to really enjoy their meal?
Right.
The other thing is so disappointing is you spend all this money in this big event and you've never seen it come together before the day of. And if the bar is not in the same room as the dance floor, everyone congregates by the bar because they're a little shy. I mean, some families get out there and rip it up right away.
Right.
But how disappointing is it if you paid for the DJ, you paid for the lights, you paid for the dance floor, and not a soul is on it except maybe a 3-year-old spinning around in their tutu. You know what I mean? Like, so disappointing.
Right.
And it comes down to music choice. Like, maybe they're gyrating.
But also, like you said, where the bar is.
Yeah.
Did dance in their younger years.
Absolutely. My grandma did the Lindy. Now she can't do the Lindy anymore, but that's the one that you swing around through the lips or the legs and all that stuff. So, like, okay. And then there's like the big bands where you just shake it and, think about that. They haven't went to a dance probably in a while.
Right.
So they're like really excited to dance. And so you're like, okay, I have a lot of people. And the younger generation, I mean, they're classics. Like I'm keep referring back to the Beatles, but that whole era is like, they're classics. So it's like, okay, you all go out there. And then, you get into the trendier stuff, either mix it in and layer it, which your DJ can do for you.
Yes.
Or towards the end of the night when they're going home and stuff, you have the younger crowd, they want to get into like the downtown Minneapolis nightclubs, and get it on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you just take a moment to kind of process and think of the audience a minute, again, all this, it might be a little overwhelming to people who are listening, but like, take yourself out of you and put yourself somewhere else.
Right.
And be like very introspective about like, okay, what would I like if I was my grandma? What would I like this?
Or just ask them. It can be part of like your invitation RSVP. If you are doing RSVPs online or just a little card, what's your favorite love song?
Yeah, I never really thought about that. And then you collaborated, and what song would you love to hear if you could hear any song? And then they RSVP, and then you just have like this beautiful library of things. Like, oh, I requested this one.
Yes.
Oh, me too.
And they're like, oh, I got to get on the dance floor.
Yeah, it really makes an interactive piece of it. So
yeah. Another thing I really like telling bridal parties when I'm at the rehearsal is it is your job, bridal party, to fill that dance floor. So as soon as the first dance is done, get your bum on the floor. and grab people with you. Like if you are having a good time and everyone sees you having a good time, other people are going to want to have a good time with you on the floor, especially since you kind of have like a little bit of authority.
Yeah.
Because you have a
you gotta
special
lead by
flower and a
example
fancy
a little bit.
dress.
So that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah. And a really good DJ always tells me, we always talk about this, have a smaller dance floor than you think you need. Because a full dance floor is more inviting than an empty one.
Yep.
No one wants to go and be the spotlight except for the 3-year-old in her tutu skirt. She doesn't care.
They don't even know. Like they don't even. And they're just, and then you gotta look at them like, oh God, I should just get out there and spin with them. You know what I mean? So, that's kind of it's. I don't know if we're providing any clarity to the people listening with all of the options and stuff, but just if you can kind of think of it as a progressive event about you guys and just have the reassurance and confidence that there's no formula to do it absolutely perfect, but have there's like a guideline that you got to kind of stick within.
Right.
And seeking advice from professionals, I mean, they love to do it. So, whether it's a day of coordinator, a comprehensive, all-inclusive kind of person, but I mean, you've never done this before. So would you just go and buy the first car you've ever seen without even checking it out or doing some research or taking it for
like, I'll take that Lexus.
Yeah, or like a job. You've got to think of it. This is one of the bigger events, so do it right, Do
a little research, prepare, plan well.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Okay, so bar probably in the same room as the dance floor. Well, how do you feel about open bar? Do you have an open bar for your wedding?
I did, because at that point in time, we could bring in our own alcohol. So there's a lot of restrictions and liabilities around alcohol.
Was it all night open?
Yes, but that's because we purchased all of the alcohol and brought it in. That's very rare these days. It is very, very,
barn
very
venues
rare.
are more accommodating to that.
And the reason is it's a lot of safety. So if a friend of yours gets a little hammered and gets in a car and gets in an accident, they can sue the bride and groom because the wedding venue and everyone involved because you served them.
And that's a great point for wedding insurance.
Yes, you definitely should get that.
Wedding insurance that covers people imbibing.
Also, when you bring your own alcohol in, I mean, we didn't do this, but the reason why it's not 100%, not everyone does it is like, okay, yeah, you bought the keg, let's say, and then the night's over. Well, what's stopping the best man from putting that keg in their car or taking it, and that's illegal, having an open container, or like the captain or whatever it may be. So, it's due for safety. And does anyone really need to get that obliviated? Yes, I had an open bar, but my God, everyone was tripping over cobblestone and a little bit belligerent. I mean, I don't even know if they remember me.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone was like that. But,
no, yeah.
But the friends that want to take advantage of it did.
Right.
So, I don't think it's necessary. Have something hosted if
I like
you
having
are
something hosted.
able. Maybe that's just so many bottles of wine.
Right.
There's different ways you can slice and dice it, whether that's the timeline, the first 2 hours, whether that's something with dinner, whether that's whatever. But, and you'd be amazed at how many people don't drink. Please take that into advantage.
Have non-alcoholic beverages besides just water.
The older I get, the more I'm finding out people are sober, or they just don't want to do it, or they're responsible about driving. They got small kids at home, so they're not doing the all-night party thing. Older people are on medication that doesn't even mix well with blood pressure medicine and alcohol, so they want like
another option,
an option that's available, and they don't have to feel silly about it.
Right. Or just tell the bartenders, could you make mocktails on request? Or so I don't drink often when I go to anything in life, and I always ask for wine glass with water in it. So then I feel like I'm still a part and I'm not shunned like Josie over there drinking her water.
No, but like you would actually be surprised at how many people just would prefer like a fancy cute drink that doesn't really have alcohol in it, because it's just not worth it, or you have to do something the next day, or it just you don't want to get buzzed up and look sloppy.
Right. For my wedding, we hosted beer and wine, and it was just a certain amount of kegs and a certain number of bottles of wine. And I always think that's a great idea. Maybe you could host a signature cocktail or two, but when it runs out, it runs out. And it really varies based on the venue and their liquor laws, or whatever you want to call it. If it's through a caterer, if it's through a bartending company, if it's in-house, what they have in stock. So if you brought your own liquor, likely you had to just bring the right amount of stuff, and then when it was gone, it was gone. There wasn't like a stocked bar.
Correct.
Like at a country club, they have a stocked bar. So if they run out of this bottle of wine, they can just go get another of that bottle of wine.
And that is the advantage of hiring a professional. It's just like, wow, we didn't know that the father of the this or
really
this family loves gin. As much as your bartenders or your caterers can say, hey, does your family go through any one specific type of alcohol?
You might not know.
And you're like, no, but you're going through all the Chardonnay you can.
Right.
They can go and they have resources to go get that replenished.
Right.
You can't. So with everything, there's pros and cons, or advantages or disadvantages. So that is an advantage of you not even having to worry about it.
Right.
And that does, you don't even have to host it. It's just they're paying cash, but they would like their Chardonnay or whatever it may be. And your guests will have the amount that you need for their event.
Pros and cons of doing DIY versus just hiring a professional to like take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Pros and cons. Sometimes it's more expensive, right? Because then they can charge more for the drink.
Yeah.
$12 Jack and Coke or something.
Yeah. And it's all over the board. Again, I just, there's a lot of questions. I mean, that could be a whole nother segment of like,
We're just going to talk about liquor.
Yeah. Like, bar minimums and how much you have to spend and setup fees and bartenders and legalities and insurance and all that stuff. Like, but it really is dependent on, okay, am I in a hotel that take care of all that or a country club, or am I going in a field of my uncle's farm or an art gallery where I have to figure out who can, again, come to me with those things.
Right. Definitely catering is a good place to start. Ask your caterer if they have those things. And then there's tons of bartending services.
Yep, and a lot of caterers are fully liquor licensed too. Not all of them are, but they walk you through and are really good guides.
Yeah.
So,
did you have a videographer for your wedding? I can't remember.
I didn't. That is probably my most biggest regret, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
The disadvantages of videography, I've been married 4 years now. I feel like that was just on the cusp of coming out.
Same.
I mean, they were around before, but again, this is what I do for a living. They're usually smaller individual artists, right? It takes a lot of time to edit all that stuff. So when this was getting big, if I can say it, make your own cinematic movie, I knew about it, but it wasn't like, I didn't see a lot of examples or, not a lot of my friends had one. And now that I have been immersed into marriage and the wedding market a little bit more, it's like, oh, dang, I really wish I could do that. Because again, what video does is capture the emotion, the feeling, the sounds, you get versus just listening to audio taped, or still pictures are timeless, but that doesn't always capture the crack in the voice when he says your vows and everything. We did have somebody video it with a video camera, and it was like the wind and somebody's back of their hair, and like it was awful. It was awful, and it even so we podunk did it. But that's my one of my challenges with what I do is that there's so many great businesses, but they don't know the importance of marketing themselves, or even sometimes have the budget to market themselves. So therefore, brides and grooms can't find
Don't know about them. Right.
And videographers, there's some big conglomerates that package it in with video and photo booths and all that, which is wonderful. But a lot of them are sometimes an individual
like you said, artists. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you don't know about them, you don't even know their website exists.
Maybe they don't have a website.
Yeah.
Just have a Facebook page.
Maybe,
Which is fine, but it's hard to find them.
Yeah. So it's like, again, you got to do something to get in front of the mass audience. Otherwise, you're never, and that they're not going to succeed as a business, which is the sad and disheartening part, because nobody knows they exist. And then people probably wanted to book them because, oh my God, they're very talented. There's somebody for everybody, but they didn't know. And it's a lost connection. It's a lost love connection.
Yeah. I love video. We have a wedding video, same, because we got married at the same time. And I got married in Washington, so I had no idea who vendors what. I didn't know. And the videographer I hired, I don't even think he does videography anymore. But we like our wedding video. It's just, it is not the same as this cinematic, veil floating in the air, panning across the venue.
Yeah, it's just, it's astonishing how
so pretty.
Cinematic, and it's your mini movie.
It's so amazing.
And you can show, 5 generations of grandchildren that.
Yes.
You certainly can do it with photos. But
just as a different aesthetic or a different feel. Yeah, for sure the best part of our video are those moments that you couldn't really capture in a photo because sorority. So we did this ring ching song and threw our spoons out at the crowd.
Yeah.
And how would you get that in pictures? You know, the singing and the
Yep.
or the speeches, like
Mhm.
what the people said. There's a lot of like mention about SpongeBob, which like how do you get that in a photo?
Yeah, one of my bridesmaids, because I had a man on my side,
Yeah.
a buddy of mine. Which is, you can totally do that these days.
Yeah.
He's like, did anybody get my speech? Did anyone record it? It's like, shoot, no one did. Sorry, buddy. But like they say such beautiful things to you, and you're like, oh my God, and then you're like, oh, I want to remember that.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, and just see it and relive it, and even if you don't do it every day or every month, every anniversary, it's still meaningful. At the end of our video, my husband's great aunt Florence says like a well wish, and she died. So now we have that memory of her, but it's just a very sweet memento of her being like, have a great marriage.
Yeah.
I love you, kids.
Yeah. I mean, I almost value it as important as a photographer. They are probably just as expensive as a photographer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all different.
Yeah.
And you, again, should
quality costs.
Go onto some wedding planning websites or go to a show or figure out who wants that type of business. And there's different people. There's people that put it to a soundtrack of a song.
Right.
There's people that have a lot of audio, like your words, your vows. There's people that do a mix. And there's so many different styles, if I can say that. And that really opened my eyes because I didn't know that there's so many styles.
Right.
So figure out the style that you like and then, partner with that vendor. But I think that's really important. Now that's me. Somebody might not give two craps about it.
Yeah,
but
I feel the same way totally. And sometimes I have to bite my tongue a little when brides and grooms my couples are like, oh, video is just not that important to us. Fine. Like it's your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
It's not mine. I think you should have video, but
you can't ever go back and wear the dress again and like redo the day to tape it. So it's like you can't ever re-go and do the photography. So it's kind of like, you can eat the same food maybe.
Yeah.
You can,
Cake,
look at your invitations and stuff.
Some couples do like a GoPro on top of their arbor for their ceremony. So they have their ceremony. I think that's really, that's pretty slick.
Well, in the world of drones and all that, I mean, it's just astonishing what you can get.
Or piecemealing it together. I've had friends couples that have friends that are like, oh, they just know how to use a drone. So they're going to do some drone stuff. I'm like, okay. Well, did they check with the venue?
Yeah, you have to have like a license these days
to be in the air.
Yeah, because you might disrupt a plane or something.
But also just to like film the venue because there's some copyright stuff or something like that. I don't know. I don't know all that stuff.
Yeah,
I should know all that stuff, but I just say, please ask the venue first.
Yeah. Well, they would know.
Right, they would know for sure. Yeah, and definitely, I think an important thing to look for in a videographer is that, like you said, the style, but also how long will they be there for, and is that enough time to capture the things that you want permanently recorded?
Right.
Like if you just hire a videographer for just the ceremony, then you might be missing those end of night dancing film, like or testimony. Like you can have guests be like, we wish you well, like that kind of testimonial type.
Yeah.
At the
it's
end
like
of
a
the
live
night.
guest book almost. I mean, even some cultural videos that I've seen of weddings. I mean, they even do like the shower beforehand.
Right.
And granted, you're paying for someone's time, right? So not everyone has this liquid billion-dollar budget, to have this elaborate party. But the thing I want to convey is that there's options, and cultural weddings are several days sometimes. And so, I've seen those videos and they're just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm a part of their family and I'm a complete stranger, like looking at it.
Right. That's probably why I like videography so much, because I like watching other people's videos. So if nothing else, just do videography so I can watch it.
Yeah. I was a judge at the wedding video awards and I was involved, but like I was bawling at a couple of them. And then I delegated it to someone else on our staff to be a judge this last year. And he was bawling. And like, it's like, because it's love, and we don't even know these people.
We're just so real and authentic. And
yeah,
it's raw because it's not a movie. So it's not two people pretending or acting.
Yeah.
That's a real couple.
And then you put a little love soundtrack to it, even if it's acoustic. And you're like, oh, my heart just skipped.
I love that. Okay, so videography, we both agree, should probably definitely invest in
Yeah.
if you can, if it's important to you.
Yeah.
But for sure, that's like the wishy-washiest
Well,
suggestion.
I think in like 200 years or whatever, that's a couple generations from you, you're going to be a little bit more wrinkly or passed on, and it's like everyone can see you
Right.
with the love, with the prime, like
Right.
throughout the generations, right? Like they can
So cool.
pictures one person has them, but like you can just share video.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's neat. It's the future. So
And what other vendors do you feel like, this is such a tricky question, do you feel like people should really focus on or splurge on or invest on? Or what vendor did you find really large importance with?
Well, I did the food because, again, people either love it or hate it. So,
Right.
and it's the most expensive part. And coming from food, I did food. And I wanted, like, literally the appetizers and the food and the late night snacks. So that was very important to me.
What was your late night snack?
I did pizza.
Nice. I love pizza. And a lot of venues will let you
That was
order
back when
in.
pizza was, like, the new, like, that was,
Yes.
like, I can't even.
As a late night snack.
Yeah. That was, like, the beginning of it.
Right.
Now they do everything else under the sun. But,
Right.
like, that was in the beginning.
Mini grilled cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
Or what's another really, like breakfast as a late night snack?
Mm-hmm.
I like that one too.
People are even doing breakfast or brunch weddings, like on Sundays or Saturday. They're doing
at a brunch wedding.
theme.
Yes.
They're wonderful.
Or having an 11 a.m. ceremony. I
So,
like that too.
Yeah, I mean,
Just when
weddings
you take pictures,
used to be Saturdays, and so
Right.
now they're Thursdays. Can you believe that? I have some venues like, oh my God, I'm booking
Yes.
Thursdays. And I'm like, are they older? Is it their second marriage?
No,
And they're
they
like,
just-
no, they're younger, and they didn't want a lot of alcohol.
Yeah.
They wanted to be short and sweet, so they do Thursdays. And same with Sundays. And you don't have to have a night Sunday. You can have a brunch Sunday.
Right.
And it's short, it's sweet, whatever. And then obviously Saturdays were always predominant, and then Fridays got a little bit like, you're doing a Friday? It was
I feel like Fridays are almost more popular than a Saturday.
It is. And as a guest, I have to share this. As a guest,
Yeah.
you love Friday weddings because some people take off work.
Yes.
And if it's in the summer, you're like, hey, everyone goes to the cabin
Right.
anyway. So
Right.
like, oh, I'm in a wedding or I have to go to a wedding, so you can get out of work a little bit early
Yeah.
if you're just like a normal date of a guest or something. But then you go, you have a fun night. If you want to whoop it up, you can. And you wake up the next morning, you're like, sweet.
I have a whole weekend.
My weekend's not ruined. Like we have all Saturday and
Yeah.
all Sunday. Or if you aren't feeling the greatest, you can recover Saturday and you have Sunday.
Right.
With a Saturday wedding, you're like, oh, okay, you have to go out and do all that thing all day, and then you're Sunday and you gotta like get it together because you have to go to work the next morning.
Sometimes I feel like a Friday wedding has a little bit better of a timeline. Like it's a little more condensed, and a Saturday wedding gets drawn out from 8 a.m. to midnight. And that's a really, really long day. Like, not to mention that's a long day for your photographer who's taking pictures by your side the entire day. Don't recommend that. But that is a long day for you and your wedding party and your parents. What if you have small children in your life?
Yeah.
Like your brother's kids. That is a long day to just be doing things. And it's not like no one's going to schedule a nap on their wedding day.
No. And, the only time I would say, for sure do a Saturday is if the venue is like a couple hours out of the city or where the nearest airport is.
Right.
Because, like, if you're traveling north, south, some vineyards, some barns, they're way out of the city.
It's nice to go in on Friday, get settled.
Yeah, because if it is a Friday wedding, it's like, how am I going to get out of work? Travel an hour and a half to 45 minutes, wherever it may be. Get there in time. I'm missing a ceremony just for dinner to turn around, come back because I have to let my dog out and know all my
or because I don't want to spend money on a hotel because it's not that far.
Yeah, and maybe that's good for the people hosting because they didn't
narrow
care.
down the guest list.
But if you really truly want a lot of people to come and it is a little bit further, that's the time of like, okay, well, just again, take yourself out of you and put yourself as a guest.
Provide transportation
and get there.
Yeah. Things to think about.
Well, the venues are like doing a really good job of providing transportation to and from hotels and stuff. And George with Fab Weddings actually overcame that objection quite
he
well.
Has a fire truck.
He also has a bus. Bought a fire truck, and because it was a little bit out of the way from the venue, that was an objection. They're like, oh no, it's too far from hotels. And my guest, he's like, no problem. I included in my whole thing, and I get you there and from and whatever. And I'm like, genius. Again, he overcame an objection of where he was positioned. And
he has a really good outlook though on weddings in general, that they should be a little more all inclusive. That the bride and groom shouldn't have to worry about this, that, or the other, and like he just kind of takes on. He's like a fairy godmother for
Yes.
weddings. Like
He's
he's
chief
like, and your wish
officer of
is
joy.
granted. Yes, yes, that is his signature. Oh, I love that. Yeah,
He actually does care. And I mean, I'm not saying that everyone doesn't, but that is again a pro and con. If you try to get a mix of vendors, you know, from all over and put them in one place, sometimes the synergy doesn't work together as well. And sometimes you do better with an all-inclusive place where it's just turnkey. You pay whatever the rental is, the food's
Right.
kind of involved. The biggest thing you have to worry about is colors,
Yeah.
maybe, and it's
do you
just
want
it's done.
white, black, or cream
Mhm.
linen? Right.
And I mean, it really it depends. So, you know, you just gotta. I don't know if we're probably screwing everybody up with how many
They're like,
options
oh,
there
okay,
are. But
so just do whatever I want. Thanks. I don't know what I
kind of
want.
just as long as you have a regimented thing and like go and have fun and enjoy it. It's like
Right.
enjoy the process. Like you get super excited and then you get like, oh my God, this is so expensive. You feel a little bipolar. You get super like anxiety low, and then you get excited a little bit again because you're actually planning, and then you're like, oh my God, I don't want to make another decision. Just pick what song we walk out to. I don't give a crap. And then the month before is like, I cannot believe how much I'm making it rain. I'm paying everybody off. I'm paying the caterer off. I'm paying the venue off. I'm paying the photographer off. Like literally, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Right,
You feel like
right.
a billionaire because you just keep paying bills. You do. You're like, oh, that's our final count. Through. Here's some money there. And, you know, that's why I say to our vendors, don't just get necessarily discouraged about like a photo booth or something, because sometimes you want to add it on. You're like,
Right.
God, you know, I'm thinking about it a month before, 3
Right.
months before.
We've already spent all this money. What's
It's like, let's do it.
$150 more per
And
hour?
when people come to our wedding fairs, they are typically in the beginning of their timeline.
Right.
So some people book it right off the bat.
Right,
That was
because they
important to
know
them.
that's what they want. Yeah.
And then some people wait, and it's like, no, stay in front of them, keep in front of them, because then they're sitting there looking at, like, you know what, I have nothing for them to do. That would be really fun. But like, who?
Right.
Who do we pick?
Right.
And then whoop, a random little email or something comes up in front of them, piece of mail, and they're like, oh, okay, we can do that. Yes.
Right.
And it makes the business happy. It makes everyone happy. So.
I love last minute add-ons when they're not the day of.
Yes, not the day of. Nothing
when-
really should be added the day of. I don't
Josie's
think,
not
except a
super happy when
smile.
she's folding 150 napkins
Yeah.
menu fold on the day of.
Get a day of coordinator. That is like huge. You don't want your bridesmaids all passive aggressive, pissy at
Passive
you
aggressive.
because
oh.
you're making them put the centerpieces and folding the napkins. Also, who's going to take it down at the end of the night?
Who's gonna take it down? That's such a
even if you have
forgotten thing.
a personal attendant that's supposed to like help you with your
It's one
dress,
person.
it doesn't marry the
Yeah.
decorations to the venue, to this, to that. Like there's a whole, and even if your aunt does it, I mean, it's just there. You should hire a day of coordinator.
I always say the thing is, a personal attendant probably has been a personal attendant maybe once or twice more,
Or
but
never.
they don't know like
Mhm.
what goes into a wedding necessarily, or what you want your wedding to look like. And your aunt or your mom or your sister, don't you want them to enjoy your
Mhm.
wedding? Like, aren't those the people that matter most to you? And maybe they're not, sorry. But if they are,
right.
don't you want them to enjoy your wedding day by your side and not have to worry that the toilet paper's out in the men's bathroom
Yeah,
or something
it's
awkward?
like the craziest things you don't think of, like toilet paper.
Toilet paper,
And you know how
soap,
it's
mints.
it's a big thing if nobody can wipe their stuff.
It's a big thing.
Like,
It makes your guests unhappy and feel like
Uncomfortable.
they're not taken care of.
mhm.
And when it comes down to it, human beings like to be taken care of. We're pretty needy folks.
Yeah. I mean, like the best analogy I have is think of it of inviting a whole bunch of people into your home. You would take their coat. You would make
Yeah.
them feel comfortable. You would offer them a beverage. You would talk to them for a little bit. You might feed them dinner, and then you might have an entertaining component afterwards.
Right, let's play charades.
And then you'll maybe say thank you and thank you. And if they bring you a gift, you know, like you can say thank you.
You'll
and-
offer them leftovers. Here,
Yeah.
take something home with you.
I talked to the caterers about that one.
Yeah.
But I did have somebody close the pizza box at our wedding and leave with a whole freaking pizza. And it's like, really?
That's what I mean. People like to be taken care
What?
of.
Like,
You took care of them by
they-
letting them take that pizza
we
home.
cut them like really small, so it's like, oh, I can have a piece of sausage. And they like literally shut the flap because they just got delivered. They were like hawking around the area and left. And I'm like, are you kidding? But
That was our
whatever.
guest
You
favor.
also learn a lot about your friends and family.
Yes.
Like you get a little, I hate to say annoyed, but you're like, and I'm guilty. I'm
Yeah.
like, I never got back to the invitation. Oh, when did I have to RSVP? Oh, I'll do it again.
Yes.
Or, oh, can I bring a date? Oh, I broke up with the date. Oh, and
Right.
and
right.
it's just like, send it back. You have no idea how annoying it is. I need to do a count.
Send
like,
it back right away.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the bride and groom that care about the count. The caterers care. The rental company cares. The venue cares. How many chairs do we set up?
Yeah. Well, even like, and can I bring a date? It's like, oh my goodness. Like, and people just fill in their kids if you didn't even want their kids there. Like,
it's so
you
bold.
almost need to say, we've saved a place for 2 of you.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that verbiage.
What would Mr. whatever have in this? Or we've saved a place for your family up to 4 seats. Now, if your husband wants to stay back with the kids and you want to bring your best girlfriend, maybe you don't want a husband, wife. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it's 2 seats regardless.
Right.
Like, you got to, think that way. So
yeah, that's definitely tricky for sure. I was going to ask you if, about wedding fairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just got engaged. I'm celebrating. Maybe that's a great place to start, right? Going to a wedding fair.
It's
and
again,
just
it's an experience.
Perusing
Yeah. So in
the fashion show.
In the world of the internet, Instagram, Google, you barely get any FaceTime.
Right.
You don't get to touch, feel, taste, laugh.
What does their voice sound like?
And
How
then
friendly are they?
if you want to set up an appointment, it's kind of like, ooh, are we going to go with them? I already feel like I set up an
Right.
appointment. I already took time out of my day.
Yeah, you feel a little obligated.
A little bit, depending on your personality, but it's very serious. The fairs are one of the last places that you can go without feeling any obligation, have
Right.
a wonderful experience, bring as
Right.
many people as you want with
Yeah.
you if you want to.
Right.
Go in, taste some desserts, food, whatever. Experience a photo booth. God, Savvy had money flying around. Who doesn't like that feeling of money? Is get your dream dress. Instead of going to all the shops in town, you get to sit at this New York style looking fashion show.
Right.
And see all these dresses and then correlate them with numbers and say, oh, well, that shop had that style.
Right.
And then go talk to them for a minute if you want, and then you can make your appointment.
Right.
Very often those shops do, if you come in that same, the day
Or
that
you make
saw
an
it,
appointment.
If
They
you
give
make
you
an
a
appointment,
discount.
yeah.
Yeah, when you come in.
And, if you're just beginning, the venues love you. The
Right.
venues want to talk to you. If you've already done the venue, the photographers, the DJs, we try to do a really good campaign to have them come back a second and a third time, because now maybe you're looking at desserts.
Right.
But predominantly, the majority of the audience is a first-time engagement. But it is, again, it's a wonderful experience because, like, you get your ring cleaned, like, you get it all sparkled up and everything.
You can get your hair and makeup done.
You can get your hair
There's
and
a beauty
makeup done. We have a bar, so if, these ladies love their mimosas and Bloody Marys. They're walking around, but it is a room full of energy.
Right.
Like a lot of smiles. Like I work it and I truly enjoy it. Like, the vendors are happy, the brides are happy. Like, I don't know if I can go anywhere in the world and get that like energy, happiness. Even
Right.
the state fair is kind of frumpy on that end.
Yeah.
But like,
there's clean floors and
yes,
carpet.
Yes. And we have people attending the bathrooms for toilet paper. But, like, it's an experience, and you can go and you can have fun. And, yes, people are like, oh, my gosh, there's so much. I'm overwhelmed. But, like, there's so much on the internet. There's so much
You got
everywhere.
to dive in somehow.
And the truth is no, I get business through my website is what a lot of people say to me. But it's like, well, what brought them to your website, right? And, you had to have somebody see you somewhere or tell you somewhere to go there. Because if you have an amazing looking website but nobody's going to it, you're not going to get any business.
Yeah, as a bride, how am I going to find that?
And we have, I should say, is some phenomenal businesses that make some phenomenal products or services, and they're not the best marketers. I'll say that. Like, they can't afford the first 7, listings on Google, but what they do as their craft is so amazing.
Right.
So you're going to find people that are like, oh my God, it's a Scandinavian bakery or something.
Yes.
And you're like, I love what you do. Your food's
Kransa
amazing.
Kaka.
You would never think of that because
Right.
you've never, out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
And you go there and like, and whether you get them or not, you now are aware of them.
Right.
And you
right.
can then go on their website. So it gives smaller, we have all different size businesses
Right,
there, but it
right.
gives the little guys a chance to be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It gives the big guys like, oh gosh, I didn't even know that Pottery Barn does gift registries, or Williams Sonoma.
Right.
Like, I just go there for pillows and candles. Like,
right.
like you have to connect these dots. So we've been doing this for 33 years. We were around before the freaking internet. Can you believe that? Like, yes.
It's so weird.
Absorb that one. Like,
before the internet.
Before the internet, we've been doing wedding stuff, and that's why I'm talking about evolving and everything. So it's kind of cool. We're seeing moms and aunts and say, I came here when I was married 20 some years ago. So we're getting that second generation thing.
That's super cute.
But no, it's fun. It's a fun day. You know, if you know what you're kind of looking for, go for it. But you can literally talk and compare and hear their spiels and then go back and absorb it and make your appointments where necessary.
And get little takeaways like a business card or the perfect wedding guide or, you know, magazines, bridal magazines.
Yep.
And a pen. You
can win things. I mean, not everyone has a special, but like it's I don't know. I think it's a really wonderful resource that requires no commitment.
Right.
And it's an experience to go, especially when there's so many barriers to get to couples on a business side. And there's so many, you know, you don't really want to, I don't want to be sold. Nobody wants to be sold.
Right.
So it's just like, here you go. And they're offering, oh, have you tried us? Oh, where are you? And they're trying to be helpful. And then if you are then interested, you can then take action.
Right. I think if I was a bride going through a wedding fair today, I would really use it as an opportunity to ask questions. Like, ask all these questions I don't know. Like, just walk up to, you know, a venue booth and say, well, what's so cool about you? Like, why should I get married here? And in that conversation, you'll hear things that you didn't know yet about the wedding industry, that not all wedding venues are wheelchair accessible.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
I can't think of one, but I'm sure there's one.
No, and
but or easily accessible for wheelchairs.
And we have so many different types of businesses and same types of businesses within the business category. What I mean by that is like photographers. There's companies that are big conglomerates,
right?
And they're like, oh, don't book an individual photographer because what happens if they're sick?
Right.
That is an objection, right? But then you have the smaller people who are like, no, I have a second, third shooter. I have a plan. I'm an artist. What you get with me is the creative this. You're my only
you meet
client.
With me, and then you get me on your wedding.
So, they might be the exact same price.
Right.
But like, what fits you a little bit better? Maybe
right.
a photographer can travel to the North Shore to take your pictures. Maybe you don't know who's going to be there. Maybe, with a big conglomerate, maybe you do.
Yeah.
But like, everyone has a different preference. And that's why we have a bunch of different types of photographers, a bunch of different types of venues, a bunch of different types of desserts. And it's made to just kind of absorb and then take back. And,
right.
If we hope that people come back again, and we have 3 of them, so, you have the ability to do that. But, it's really just a place that you can get FaceTime and see somebody without having a screen or an internet in front of you.
You can talk to them. You can give them a hug.
And people like
I'm
simple.
Really excited.
Yeah, people like simple. So it's like, I got to read all this about your catering thing or your photography. When really it's like, well, how much, how much do you cost? Which is a common question. Brides and grooms have no idea what to ask you. The only thing is like, I would like you. I know you take this green stuff called money. So how much are you?
Right.
So the vendors have to establish value.
Yeah. We charge this much because or it includes.
Or it's a range. And there's a lot of factors. And
right. Most brides spend this much. I like that answer.
It's like, I'm a DJ company. I charge between this and this, but our most common package is this.
Right.
It depends on the length. It depends on where, and it depends on really what you want, which is the vendors at the show aren't there to necessarily book business right there. So brides and grooms should know that. It's a place where they get a first impression.
Right. And then
they get an idea, and then they actually could follow up and get a little bit more detail. So it's really vibing with them, and the people that vibe with them well are the people that they'll migrate to.
Right. And like as a follow-up of that previous example, like for a florist, if you go to a florist and you say, how much do wedding flowers cost?
Oh, that's so challenging.
It's just, yes, what kind of flowers do you want? How many flowers? Where do you want the flowers? There's just so many follow-up questions to that it's almost impossible to say they cost $20.
Well, I put myself as the bride. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't know. I know I need flowers, but I don't know how much does it cost to put them on tables. Well, I like the color red. Okay, we're talking red roses. We're talking red carnations. Huge difference in look and price.
Right.
And what season it is.
Right.
So florists are very challenging. You almost have to really talk to them as a bride or groom because
Or show a picture.
yeah, the
I want
Pinterest
this
pictures.
bouquet.
But it's like this is the concept.
Pinterest is horrible. It's great. It's horrible because there's no price tags, right? So in the first episode 0, I talked about the ceremony arch with white peonies on it. Well, likely wrapping an arbor in flowers is going to be like $450 if you want peonies. And do you want just one? Do you want them all? Do you want more greenery? You know, the price.
Greenery is big.
Right.
It's
I
functionality.
Love Italian ruscus is my thing right now.
And I've even seen options where you mix in half fake, half real.
Right.
Like, like it's going to smell gorgeous if it's
real. Or
real.
doing that paper flower wall.
Yep.
So adorable. Or boxwood wall.
But it is challenging. As a florist, they want to help you as much as they possibly can, but they don't know the details to help you. So they have to
you have to communicate
and guide in a stupid, simple way.
Right.
And say, okay, what are your colors? Do you have certain aspects that you like the flowers to be in? And then just, I'll tell you, but we certainly can tailor them down. So it's a lot of education.
Yeah, yeah.
And the businesses need to guide the brides and grooms through the education.
And I think as a bride and a groom, you just have to be really open to the fact that you likely don't know anything about weddings. So you have a lot to learn, not in a scary or weird way, but if you were making a souffle, you wouldn't just crack an egg.
Yeah.
Like you'd look online, you'd research it.
They also don't want to talk to you. That's a big thing. They want to talk to you between 8 and 10 p.m., which is when they're bruising the internet at night.
Yes.
And they send emails. They don't necessarily expect a response back from the business at 8 to 10 at night, but that's when they're doing it.
Right.
And then at lunch. And they can't talk to you necessarily because it's
email.
at lunch. Yeah.
Right.
So a challenge a lot of our businesses in the community are like, well, how do I get to know when they won't talk to me? It's like, well, you got to mirror their communication style.
Right.
Like, and it is not a one, here's everything and be done. It's like a back and forth. You got to act like you're talking to them, but in a written format.
Yeah. And sometimes I think that's helpful too. If I always love when my clients just say, I'm at work right now, I can only email, but I have a question. Or, just kind of prefacing it because I don't know. Like, I have weird work hours. Like, most days I'm working from home. So I don't have to put on pants or I can call anyone at any time.
I got a visual in that one.
I usually wear pants. It's just a joke, I think. But, so it's nice, too, I think, if brides and grooms can tell vendors when they're inquiring or just be really transparent. Like, don't be so afraid that people are not going to talk to you if you don't seem like you're ready to book. You can just say, hey, I honestly have no idea how much this bouquet would cost. I really want it, and I like what I've seen of your work. How much would it cost? Are you taking clients for my wedding date? Just be really transparent. And I always think overshare your information. But of course, I'm a planner, so I want to know absolutely everything.
I'm
about
an
your
external processor and communicator, like by default.
Yeah.
So like if you can share where your head's at,
Right.
like, hey, I like this bouquet as the example we're using, and it's the concept of I like it.
Do you like that it's full? Do you like the colors? Do you like the flowers? What flowers do you like? Do you like the greenery? Do you actually not even love the flowers? You like the dress behind the flowers more, and that's what's drawing you to the picture. All these things. That's what Pinterest, the bane of Pinterest. Like, you can't be like, I like this picture, pin it to my board because I like the dress. Or I like the lace on the dress. Or I like the eyeshadow on that girl's face. I mean, you could re-comment or
You can do that. Pinterest is an online magazine. But believe it or not, print is still a dominant factor in weddings.
Right.
Like, print everywhere else is kind of fizzled. But women are very tactile individuals. They like to touch, feel, turn. Yeah. And it is an inspiring piece of it. So Pinterest is, I don't know if it's ever going to go away, but it's wonderful. But like, your friends get you a bunch of magazines, and then
how fun is that too?
And women like to cross stuff out and check it and ear tag the page and stuff. So and it's just, it's very inspirational. If you would overshare what your thoughts are, and the thing about Pinterest is, like, you're not cutting things out of a piece of multiple magazines. You're putting it together and go, oh, that's kind of contemporary look.
Right.
Based on everything.
Oh, I guess I like contemporary.
Oh, I guess I like traditional. Oh, I guess I like
rustic. I really like the idea of an outdoor wedding. Even those little basics can really help you get started.
I had no idea, but then I put the puzzle pieces together and I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. I always suggest too going through your Pinterest board and kind of like deleting stuff. If you like look at the big picture and you're like, oh no, I'm not going for that style of suit. Like that's not a thing I'm doing anymore.
And that's like kind of the scary and exciting part of a wedding is you never see it mocked up before the big day.
Yes.
Really, you're not in the venue with your colors and your centerpieces and all the brides all at
Maybe
one
like
time.
Kim Kardashian did.
Yeah, but
She,
like you
paid
don't
someone
do
for it.
a super big day run through with the
Right.
food and
Not the whole day.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the best advice that I can give brides and grooms is after dinner, go somewhere with your husband. Say, "Hey, I'll meet you at 7:30 over there, just you two," and like pan the room and
Right.
take it all in.
Yeah.
With a glass of champagne, without it does not matter. But like go and just say, "Wow, we really created an awesome celebration here."
Right.
And like take a minute with no
Congratulate
distraction.
yourselves.
Yeah, and like look at it. Look at your guests smiling. Look at your guests happy. And because that is a frequent thing, it's like, oh, I was so busy talking to so many people, I never even got to enjoy the moment.
Right. I feel so overwhelmed because there was so much stuff, and then I didn't even pause. Like my best friend Laura was her maid of honor, and she was like, I didn't even pee the whole day. I'm like, Laura, come on.
Yeah.
It's your wedding.
She has strong bladder.
She's a teacher.
Yeah.
So that's why. No, great. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap things up.
Sure.
Anything else you want to tell brides and grooms out there besides go to the wedding fair and don't feel overwhelmed and celebrate?
We have we have an amazing community of wedding vendors in the Twin Cities. Like we really, really do. So to kind of work with them, which I do every day, one of the resources you can have is the wedding fair. It's January 7th at the Minneapolis Convention Center. We have another one March 25th. If you'd like to find them online, it's perfectweddingguide.com. So P is in Paul, W is in wedding, G is in guide, pwg.com.
And then the wedding fair MN is the new location of the blog.
Yeah, we're really lucky. We're one of the only companies that are producing a wedding fair at the Minneapolis Convention Center in January, February because the Super Bowl is in town. So,
it's so exciting.
It's going to be a really cool event. And our newest copy so we do web, we do print, and we do shows, and we do a blog, and then we do social media. So our association, Twin Cities Wedding Association, has all these resources that really do marry businesses with the wedding couples and makes awareness about it. So Josie's blog, Getting Married in Minnesota, she authors it for us. The show is made to have the FaceTime. We have our new book that's going to be at the wedding fair.
So exciting.
Which is like your go-to, where can I find it in the Twin Cities?
Timeline.
Like it's in different categories. Like, okay, I need a photographer, great. Then I need a DJ, great. Then I need transportation, great. So it's like it's different than inspiration. It helps you, but like it's all the vendors.
It's a fancy phone book kind of too.
Yeah, it's a shopping guide.
Right.
As stupid simple as we can make it. And then obviously we do a bunch of contests and giveaways and fun interactive things in social media world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, perfect. Well,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Nikki.